My fellow countrymen of Southern Cameroons, welcome to another interesting edition. In this video, we are going to analyze Ayok Seseko Tabe's case, the Nera 10. We are also going to make a comparison between French style of leadership versus the British style of leadership and why that is important to the progress of Southern Cameroons. In this video, we will look at why chaos will not free us, why we have to be strategic in this process of our quest for freedom. Let's go ahead and take a listen to that video, and then we will analyze simultaneously. Buckle your seatbelt, grab a cup of coffee, and let's enjoy this wonderful ride. Do me a favor, click the subscribe button so that every time a video is uploaded, you will be the first to be notified. Let's take a listen.
On the morning of Thursday, December 18, the long-awaited appeal of Seseko Ayok Tabe and 9 other members of his leadership team finally appeared on the docket of the Supreme Court of Cameroon. For plaintiffs who have spent close to 7 years in detention, waiting for their case to reach this highest judicial forum, the day was supposed to mark a turning point. Instead, it exposed once again the troubling fragility and credibility crisis of Cameroon's judicial system. Thursday's hearing took place at the judicial branch of the Supreme Court of Cameroon in Yaoundé, before a 3-justice panel presided over, we are told, by a female judge whose name we did not get. According to the court schedule, proceedings officially started at 8:48 a.m. But long before that moment, the appellants, the Nera 10, had already been ushered into the courtroom. They were ushered at 7:30 a.m. Seseko and his 9 co-accused were brought in, seated in the hearing chamber by 8 a.m. and formally called to the dock at 8:50 a.m. The defense team was formidable, signaling the seriousness with which the appellants approached this appeal. A college of lawyers appeared on their behalf, led by Bâtonnier Emeritus Akere Muna, one of Cameroon's finest and most respected legal minds, alongside Senior Barrister Paddy Young, serving as lead counsel.
I want to stop right there and say, my people, Ayok Seseko Tabe, the Nera 10, these are our brothers. They have been locked up for 7 years. They left behind wives and children. What we do will determine their freedom. How we carry ourselves will determine their freedom. Underscore that. Most of our people think economic sabotage is going to bring La République to its knees, and that will bring us freedom. We are also going to touch on that. Why this strategy is ineffective and what we ought to be doing, most importantly, if we truly want freedom. By the end of this video, we are going to map out a plan for the next 5 years, and what anyone that is in charge of communication about what is going on in the Southern Cameroons should be talking about on their platform. Do you understand? Let's keep listening.
Yet, no sooner had appearances been announced than the hearing took an unexpected and deeply unsettling turn. The public prosecutor from the legal department of La République du Cameroon rose to address the court. Rather than advance the prosecution's position, he announced his reason. His reason was stark and unambiguous. He had been the presiding magistrate over the same file at the Court of Appeal in 2021. His declaration immediately created a glaring conflict of interest, one so obvious that the court had no procedural choice but to halt proceedings. Faced with this disclosure, the panel president adjourned the matter to January 15, 2026. That is.
So the case was adjourned for January 16th, 2026. Now, the question I want to ask you all, what are the allegations labeled against Seseko, Ayok Tabe, and the Naira 10? There are three primary allegations. They are being accused of cessation. And that is the framing Ambazonia gave us, that we are cessationist. That is a narrative we can change globally through media. He is detained because he is labeled a cessationist, a rebel, and a terrorist. Those are the three primary allegations. I told you there is no way to carry on with the Ambazonia cause without being labeled as a cessationist, as a terrorist, and as a rebel. And that is not true about the story of Southern Cameroons. So my goal is that in the next 5 years, we change this narrative through the legal path and through media. We have to work as a team. We will not all be in the same room, but we will have rules on how we go about bringing solutions to these problems. So our future does not depend on Cameroon collapsing. Let's start there. If Cameroon collapses, you think that will give us freedom? You saw the ghost town in La République du Cameroon. What happened? They started breaking into stores and stealing. Why? Because these people have been raised under a centralized authority. They have been raised to depend on that leader. They see a leader as a god in every sector in La République du Cameroon. And that is what most of our people don't understand. We don't see things the same as citizens of La République du Cameroon. If you place a leader before a Southern Cameroonian, they see a custodian of an institution. But if you place that same leader before any citizen of La République du Cameroon, they see someone that they depend on for directions. You see, our funds are out of the palace, but you see, our communities are still intact. We will stretch further on that, but I just want you to understand how these two individuals see leadership. So when you're even mounting pressure for them to go on the streets and march, they need direction. They were not raised that way. So we believe that leadership change in Yaoundé will automatically give us freedom in the Southern Cameroons. In fact, history shows it can do the opposite if we are not careful. This is what you should understand about La République du Cameroun, my people. When Amadou Ahidjo wanted to become president, more than 300,000 Bamileke people and Bassa people were executed in that process for Amadou Ahidjo to become president. Study the history of La République du Cameroun well. Study the history of France well, so that you understand La République du Cameroun well. That is why I went as way back as the 14th century to study King Louis XIV, King Louis XVI, to understand the script Pobia is using in La République du Cameroun. Strategy. When President Paul Biya became president in La République du Cameroun, there was a coup in Cameroon. More than 1,000 people were executed. Ask Issa Chiroma Bakari, he knows that story well. So when a new leader in a French style leadership comes to power, the first thing he needs to do is to demonstrate that he is competent to bring order and be respected instantly. And in cases like this, minorities always suffer. We have been trained to believe that that government is our enemy. They have been trained to believe that we are their enemies. They call us les ennemis dans la maison. Don't forget that. That is how they call us. Les biafrais. That we are the enemies in the house. So when you are encouraging them to go fight, this is what they have been trained their entire life to believe about those in the southern Cameroons. We don't factor that in. Strategy, not noise. Our brothers can spend the rest of their lives in prison if we are not careful. Their freedom depends on what we do. So history shows us that it can be the complete opposite of what we are expecting. This is not about fear, my people. This is about understanding how power, history, and people behave in moments of instability. We have to understand our histories, and then we'll continue watching that video. We have two different mentalities. Different. Without factoring that, you'll be giving advice to someone from the Francophone zone thinking you're speaking to someone from Anglophone zone. That is a waste of time. Waste of energy. And you think you're making impact. Now, Southern Cameroonians and most La République civilians do not carry the same history in their heads. We understand trusteeship, incomplete decolonization, which I've outlined, common law, and procedure. Many La République du Cameroun civilians were taught something very different. They were taught that independence was complete. It's in their history book, and that is what they teach it. We were taught completely something different. Unity was settled. That is why they even celebrate 20th May as reunification day. Not unification, reunification, which is absurd. They assume we were one under Germany, and so we came back together. So it's called reunification. That is not historically factual. And Anglophones are an internal problem. So they call you cessationist, because they are dealing with an internal crisis, not a situation of incomplete decolonization. And this narrative can be changed through media. We spend our time wisely. So that difference matters. In calm times, when places are calm, everything is okay, it also matters, if not much more, in times of crisis. When institutions weaken, people don't debate history. They simplify history. So if La République falls into chaos right now, people will simplify history and the target will be the ennemis dans la maison. Our people will be in harm's way and they have a lot of guns and they don't reason like you. They don't have self-control like you. So you are indirectly putting our people in danger through this media narrative. Be careful of what you ask for. So in those moments when we have chaos, Anglophones are not seen as people with a legal claim, because for the past 9 years, we haven't clarified this message because we never took time to study even our own history. Study the documents. Be factual with our story so that they understand. The few among them who understand English get the true story. And again, they speak French, we speak English. So in times of chaos, most of our people don't understand French. That is a big problem. The fight is going to be long. And we will be the prime target. Minorities always suffer in a country like Cameroon. So they will not see that we have a legal claim. We've not really taught that, even to the few Francophones who understand English. They are seen as the other inside the house. So they will see us as those people inside the house that have always been problematic based on what they have been taught about us. Let's keep listening to that video. But I want to take this session to help us understand ourselves. Sun Tzu said, if you know your enemy, and I don't see them that way, let's be calm. We have the English heritage that has transformed the world for 300 years. This issue should be something trivial for us to solve. We are great people. Never forget that. They've conditioned us. This French language terrifies us. See our people in Paris. They can't even speak English. Immediately you find yourself in a French circle, you forget who you are. Présentez votre carte d'identité. That is what triggers you. The fear of the military that they have surrounded you with in Cameroon. So my goal through these videos is to wake us up. Help us understand who we are. We have a very powerful heritage. And we need to represent that culture. We need to represent that identity before the world. And let's not forget that assignment. You are smart. You are intelligent. You are brave. Don't let pain control you. That is my goal through these videos. I said 70% of the problem is inside the house. If we hold it tight here, the enemy outside can do us no harm. 20% is with La République du Cameroun. Just 10% is with the international community. We can do this. In the next 5 years, we can have this problem sorted out. What others have tried for 65 years, we will sort this out in 5 years. And to those who believe that the past is always better, reverse that thinking. You have social media today, you have YouTube today, you never had this in 1960. Mark Zuckerberg is a very young man and he has created Facebook. There are many Americans in their 70s, they haven't. Settle with that. The best is yet to come. Let a future story inspire us, and let's not be inspired just by the past. Let's keep listening.
in about 3 weeks' time. And just like that, after 7 years of waiting, the Nera 10 left the courtroom without their case heard once again. The day ended in mixed emotions. On the one hand, there was cautious optimism. The case had finally been docketed at the Supreme Court, a step that had inexplicably taken nearly a decade. On the other hand, the adjournment, triggered by such an elementary procedural flaw, left behind embarrassment, frustration, and a sense of judicial manipulation. What unfolded in this court, ladies and gentlemen, was not merely an adjournment. It was an indictment of a system, La République du Cameroon's justice system. The first and most obvious question is unavoidable. How did the registry of the Supreme Court not know about this conflict of interest? Judicial files do not exist in a vacuum. The identity of magistrates who previously handled a case, especially at the Court of Appeal level, is a matter of record. The registry is duty-bound to ensure that no judge or legal officer with prior involvement in the matter is assigned to it again at a higher level. If the registry of the Supreme Court did not know, it speaks to gross incompetence.
One thing we should understand is badging La République, insulting them. This doesn't move them. They only listen to institutions. So if we structure ourselves, act as an institution, and we speak, they must respond. Again, I told us the burden of proof is with La République du Cameroon, not us. So when we will get to summon them at the UN, they will have to prove before the UN, the Union Treaty. Exchange of notes, some people run around with those documents, is not equal to a Union Treaty. Britain had administrative authority over Southern Cameroons. Some say Britain had sovereignty over Southern Cameroons, and Britain transferred that sovereignty to La République du Cameroon. This is what some of your people, Southern Cameroonians by learned acceptance, say. Administrative authority. Every document that you will find anywhere on this case says Britain was the administering authority. Your people say sovereignty authority. There is a distinction. And when you hear people speaking like that, don't even engage in a conversation with them on this subject. Save that time. If you are in WhatsApp groups with them, exit. We need that energy to build. In the very beginning, in the 1700s, Americans had to quickly separate the loyalists from the patriots. That is why I made the distinction between the three different types of Southern Cameroonians, so that we can save time. If not, you will get into debates, social media battles with people that is just a waste of time. They had the patriots, people who wanted the freedom of the United States of America, and they had those who never wanted it. They called them the loyalists, and most of them left America. We have to separate the sheep from the goats if we will make progress. Some of our people pushing for La République's agenda are not the proper jurisdiction. So why are you wasting your time debating with them? The only entity that we will have a conversation with is the government of La République du Cameroon, and not directly before the UN. When the time comes, they will be there to represent themselves and provide that document that made this union. It's that simple. No need debating. So one thing I want you to understand is the difference between the English system, which we inherited, and the French system, which La République du Cameroun inherited. So the English nation is rooted in building slow. Number one, they know how to build slow, while the French system is rooted in building fast. They want to build things fast. The British is slow, but it's steady and firm. We have to remind our people, because I see us acting like La République du Cameroun. All this fight for power, that is La République du Cameroun. That is not our culture. We grew up, we had chiefs predominantly in the southwest, and we had funds predominantly in the northwest. You never had the desire that you will be the next fund. So fighting for power crumbles us. It's not our culture. It's not authentic. The English system lock power into rules. That is why I'm talking about institutions. This is what we inherited. It's even consistent with our tradition. In Britain, they have the king. You don't see them fighting over power. No, they fight over institutions. What kind of institutions are we going to build and make amendments so these institutions serve us? Ask our people living in Britain. The king is just ceremonial. So they lock power into rules. The French people, they centralize authority. That is the difference. The English people, they train their people to operate systems, which is what I want us to start doing now. The French people, they train their people to look upwards to the authority. So if Paul Biya doesn't give the go-ahead, you are just wasting your time talking to the judge, talking to the army, talking to the police, talking to whoever you think will change their mind. In our system, you can speak to individuals like that and they go on to influence the system and change comes. That is the confusion that we have with ourselves, because we've grown with these people, and so we think we are the same, we respond to leadership the same. No, our case is different. That's why you see fighting over power abroad has caused us to go this direction. So one thing I want you to understand is, some people among us really believe that if a new leader comes to power in La République du Cameroun, dialogue will follow automatically. History does not support that belief. In centralized French style system, new leaders usually do one thing first when they come in. They prove authority. The history of Cameroon, we are not even talking about France, proves that. When Aijo came to power, the same thing. When Paul Biya came to power, the same thing. They have to prove authority. Promises made before power are not the same as decisions made after power. Let me slow that down. Because, Isa Churuma Bakari said, I'll bring out the prisoners. We will have dialogue. We will bring experts. These experts will give us advice on how to structure a federation. Promises made before power are not the same as decisions made after power. When I saw him from inception, I said, this is the illusion of change. He didn't have the courage. I didn't see it in his eyes. And this should be one step towards you believing that I can predict and it comes to pass. I called it the illusion of change. Go watch that video. While everyone else was excited that, this is the next leader, let us go forward, change is coming, I called it the illusion of change. I'm not moved by the crowd. I'm moved by studies. Studying what has happened over time, and I can be able to predict the future. So my people, betting our safety on who becomes president is not strategy. It is gambling with our people's lives. We have precious people. Even in times like this, let's protect them, study and guide them well. Let's not lose our people for nothing. There is something deeper that we all must understand. Southern Cameroonians did not inherit a culture of power obsession. That power obsession that we see people having, it's not our culture. Traditionally, we had thrones and chiefs. Leadership was structured. Authority was respected. We never grew up believing you would be the next one. So all this fight for power, I don't know where it comes from. Our colonial inheritance reinforces this. Under the British system, leadership is strong but institutional. Britain has a king, but he is ceremonial. I said that already. Power lives in law, institutions, and continuity. That is why I rejected titles. They say create a group and make yourself president. I said no. I want to build institutions. I want to build something that will outlive us. And I don't have power ego. You see, I'm a man that was raised and blessed most of my life. I've been respected way back as I can think about. Respected in the family, respected at school. Every community that I've walked into, I've been respected. In the white community, in the Asian community, in the Indian community, in the African American community, I've had respect, utmost respect. Just 1 minute on the microphone, ultimate respect in the room. So I don't need to do something for you to validate me to feel important. I want us to do well. Some of you listen to me speak here, you think, maybe that individual wants to be. Nah, that is not our culture. That is why I'm reminding us. I want competent people that will go on to institute what I'm teaching here and let our community make progress. So French system is different. Power is centralized and personalized. So until that one person makes a move, the rest will just be watching. So those who are saying the people failed Issa Chiroma Bakari, no, the French system, Issa Chiroma Bakari must stand up and prove himself to be that leader, gain the people's trust for them to take action. If not, nothing happens. Forget it. In our system, you can inspire people and they stand up and riot and go on the street. But in the Francophone system, you will never have that. So when you are strategic and you understand both systems, you will know what to say when there is a situation like this in La République du Cameroon. That's why I say most of our people are just tactical. You're not strategic. You understand what is going on there. You will not waste your energy motivating citizens of La République du Cameroon that have been trained their entire life to see you as the enemy inside the house. And you're hoping that they will change and listen to you on the social media and go on the street. My brother. So that difference explains why power struggle feels normal in one system and foreign in another. That is why I reject titles. It's not something that it's in our DNA. If you don't know that, know it now. we are designed to set up rules, just like soccer. You see people gather everywhere around the world to play soccer. Everyone knows the rules. That we'll have equal players on this side, equal players on this side. We'll have a referee who play the game. You don't need FIFA there. All the clubs, the veteran clubs, people are enjoying soccer without FIFA there, because there is a rule that anyone can copy and play wherever they find themselves. So my job is to help us find the right structure that reflects us. And then we'll have our people play anywhere they find themselves around the world. With this, even if all of us are dead and gone, the game continues. That is why English runs the world and has run the world for 300 years, and France hasn't. Because the English system is designed on institutions, systems, while the French depends on an individual. So when that individual goes down, everything comes to a halt. It's only from France that you heard a king say, "État c'est moi," that the state is me. You will never hear such coming from any English-speaking nation. So know your enemy, know who they are, and know yourself. I don't want to be labeling them enemies, but you understand what I'm saying. So I reject titles, not because leadership does not matter. There's a difference between a leader and titles. But because institutions matter more. Building legal clarity and durable systems is not avoidance of titles or power, but leadership. And this reflects our DNA. I've gone way back as thousands of years to understand us. And what I'm telling you, or what I'm sharing with you, is what will help us find freedom. We are acting now like La Republic. We want to be presidents like them. We want to pick up guns and do the same thing they are doing. Study what has happened between France and Britain over time. And that is why the UN really has to help us. It's impossible for France and Britain to be one country. That is what is going on between Southern Cameroon and La Republic of Cameroon. This relationship will go nowhere. Never. You can't even compare us with Canada. It's impossible. Even Eritrea had to part ways with Ethiopia, even though they were part of that country. Our case is not that. I've told you, our case is that of Lithuania. If you look at it carefully, you study it. The Baltic states, that is a classic reflection of our case. So we will continue listening to this video. I want to help our brothers and sisters that are out there on media channel your energy to the right direction. Ignore La Republic du Cameroon. They can't survive that. That is the biggest weapon. Ignore them. I don't know why I should waste my energy. If there's any video I put out here, I'm teaching them. Not complaining that they should do something that I know they are incapable of doing because they are incompetent. Because what we should be looking at is, you have to ask Pobia and his team, do you understand that the world recognizes Cameroon as a dictatorship system? Do you know that? I ask him these questions. Do you also know Cameroon is one of the most corrupt countries in the world? Do you know that? Do you understand what that means? That means you're incompetent to lead. That means you're putting the lives of millions of people at risk because of your incompetence. You ask them questions like this, teach them. What adjustments can you make to change how the world perceives you? Not that I'm sitting to discuss with Paul Biya on what. And we should encourage our brothers and sisters. I'm telling you, if we unite and start doing the right thing, our brothers and sisters that have been locked up in that kondengi will be free. Carry ourselves with pride. When I hear us talking and crying, it's as if, let's carry ourselves with pride. If not, borrow some of my confidence. Borrow it. This is not arrogance. You hear me speak. I know what I'm talking about. You've heard me. At least you know that this man is not just spewing empty words here. They carry weight. Go past this age you're seeing. I'm an old soul. You know some of those children that you see around and you say, this child is just 5, but the way they speak, it's like they have been here forever. I'm an old soul. Let's keep listening.
If he did know, and there is every reason to believe he should have, then the decision to proceed anyway raises darker possibilities. This was not a minor oversight. The public prosecutor in question did not merely touch the file in passing at the appeal court. He presided over it in 2021 and ruled against the same defendants. And here was he seated on the bench. By every standard of judicial ethics, he was never supposed to be seated in that courtroom in the first place, let alone wait until the hearing commenced to announce his recusal. Which leads to the next troubling question. Why did he come to court at all? Why? Why? Recusals are not theatrical moments reserved for public display. They are administrative and ethical decisions taken before proceedings begin. A magistrate aware of such a conflict would normally notify the registry ahead of time, allowing the court to reconstitute itself and avoid unnecessary delays. What happened yesterday in that courtroom suggests something else entirely. The sequence of events creates the appearance of a deliberate procedural ambush, one designed not to advance justice, but to stall it.
There is nothing like justice in a centralized system, Mr. Chris. Focus your energy on Southern Cameroons. Drop that name Ambazonia. They've labeled your leader as secessionist. Let's focus on this legal clarity on our status. For the next 5 years, they will panic. Let our language in algorithms be all about this legal clarity. You'll see what that will do globally. Almost every country in Africa that has risen up against their government or risen up to break away have done the same thing we have done. Let's change strategies and change the story forever. You are vocal. You can network. Let's change the story. Change our conversation. Change our rhetoric. Southern Cameroonians. Incomplete decolonization. Incomplete independence. There is no union treaty between Southern Cameroons and La République du Cameroon. All those changes made from the time they claim we got independence in 1960 using a draft constitution unilaterally written by Amadou Ahidjo is not legally binding. So the change from a federal system to a unitary system to La République du Cameroon has no effect. They use their internal policies, internal constitution, internal laws to make those changes. They are not legally binding internationally. Now, one thing I want us to understand, my people, I bring these videos not to hit on anyone, to challenge ideas, to help us have perspective on ideas, to clarify us. There is another point that must be stated clearly without emotions. Those who will solve this problem don't need to be emotional. We do not, my people, take note of this. We do not litigate questions of international status with private individuals. I see some people trying to debate exchange of notes with Cameroonians by learn acceptance in our community because they speak pidgin. Not anyone that shows up and speaks pidgin indicates they are Southern Cameroonians. No. Mind you, there are some people from the Francophone zone that were born and raised among us. They speak pidgin better than most even. And when they speak, you think they are for you. There are some who one of their parents come from the Francophone zone. There are some who have developed a passion and they have been trained to love the system. And because they have been trained to love the system, there is no way they will speak against the system, especially those who work for the system. So do not litigate questions of international status with private individuals. Start disassociating yourself with them. I cited the story of Benjamin Franklin. His son, William Franklin, wanted the British crown. They had to go their separate ways, father and son, from the same household. William Franklin had to leave America. Check that story out. This is a very defining moment for us, even in families. We cannot build a country as though we are building a family. Americans did this in the 1700s. We are in 2025, and you have to be debating with someone because they speak in pidgin and they have some ideas that don't even make sense. I mean, look at it. Even if you had to frame this as a secession, my brother, the French system and the English system are not compatible in any way, shape, or form. But our story is very clear. Incomplete decolonization, incomplete independence. We never legally joined. And some think, oh, why is it that Foncha worked in that system as a prime minister 65 years later? You're coming up with this story. My brother, so what you are trying to tell me is, if somebody steals your vehicle, keeps that vehicle for 100 years, and you finally discover that vehicle, you say, oh, they have been used to driving that vehicle, so it is theirs now. That is what I hear. Let's not sound stupid with the way we think. There is a question mark here on jurisdiction, and that must be clarified. And La République du Cameroon will defend themselves, not you. Whether you come from Southern Cameroons like me, not you. All these little political debates, no. Don't engage in that. We have more important things to spend our time on. Claims of union must be presented by La République du Cameroon itself before the United Nations. That is the only day we'll have conversations about this. Right now, just separate yourself from those who are saying we joined, those who claim that we came in and the union got bad. Separate yourself from them. Oh, let's try to reform the system. It is not good to divide. Clarity, because people will remain in this pain forever. We don't have any reference document in this relationship that if things are bad, we can fall back on. Where are we going? Like I said, this is a national emergency for Southern Cameroonians. fine-tune your language, fine-tune your thinking, upgrade the quality of your thinking. That is what we need to do for these 5 years while we are working on a legal aspect. Let the media help the people fine-tune their language, because what I hear from our people is not accurate. It's not consistent with our true story. So they will present that before the UN with valid legal instruments. That's all. Until that happens, persuasion campaigns and personal interpretations, however sincere they might sound, do not constitute jurisdiction or proof. Let me repeat that again slowly. Until that happens, until we'll have La Republique before the UN, not anywhere else, not in the Bamenda High Court, not in Banjul, not in Abuja, not at the African Union, before the United Nations. That is the only jurisdiction that will preside over this issue. Until we'll have them there, persuasions, campaigns that people go around trying to persuade people to change their mind, don't engage or entertain that conversation. Or personal interpretations, however sincere they sound. Some people are really good in our community, nice, smooth talking, that do not constitute jurisdiction or proof. So I do not create categories to divide people. I create them to save time. That is why I categorize people based on what they say, so that I save time. If not, we can do this for 100 years. People will look around, debate forever. Americans did this in the 1700s to separate loyalists from patriots. And they told the patriots, this is what we ought to do. You, the loyalists, leave us alone. Move over to Canada, move over to Britain. This place is not for you. Peacefully, so that we don't end up in bloodshed. Don't mess up things for us. There is a question sign on jurisdiction here, and we must sort that out. And what we are putting on the ground, every liberation struggle does this. There are those who seek reform within the existing system. There are those who believe a union existed and failed. These are the categories of people we have in Southern Cameroons. And there are those pursuing a legal continuity and unfinished process. That is authentic Southern Cameroonians. The first category is Cameroonians by learned acceptance. Southern Cameroonians by learned acceptance. We will be calling them LA, learned acceptance. The LAs, or the CLA, Cameroonians by learned acceptance. So the CLAs, and then we have the Ambazonians. A union existed and failed. That is Ambazonia. Those who believe that there is a legal continuity and unfinished process, those are genuine Southern Cameroonians. So those who say Britain had sovereignty and they transferred sovereignty to La Republique of Cameroon, that is a red flag. You just mark X. This person, don't listen to any other thing that they say. Who are the people who voted in 1961? Was it not Southern Cameroonians? The sovereign are the people who go to vote on behalf of Southern Cameroons. So I just hear your logic. I'm like, you don't even know what you're talking about. The sovereign. Who are the people who voted during this election? Citizens of La Republique du Cameroon. Who are the people you're urging to stand up and put Issa Chiroma Bakari on the throne? The people. Go look up the definition of that word sovereign. So the sovereign people of Southern Cameroons are the ones who went and voted to join La Republique du Cameroon, and that union never existed because the process wasn't completed. They are the sovereign on behalf of the people of Southern Cameroons. Britain was the administering authority on behalf of the UN that held sovereignty on behalf of Southern Cameroons. And the sovereign are the inhabitants of Southern Cameroons who went and voted on behalf of the people. And we are a continuation of those individuals. Frontier working in that government is not equal to legalizing a union. So they do that and they will get Atangan Jipo. Not even Atangan Jipo is competent to have this conversation with us. The government of La Republic du Cameroon will have to speak with us at the UN. So anything else, if you understand this kind of hierarchical system, you will not waste your time talking with the average citizen of La Republic du Cameroon. You will not waste your time talking to the Supreme Court judge of La Republic du Cameroon. You know who to speak to. And if the only person that you should speak with is Paul Biya, and then you will change strategies because it's ineffective. With our system, you can persuade one or two people and then they come together and something changes. In their system, no. Look at the amendments in the United States Constitution. You understand that it's okay for people to come together because the United States is an upgrade of Britain. They believe in individual freedom in America within a constitutional framework, while in Britain, they believe in the Constitution. That is the difference. In La République du Cameroun and in France, they believe in this centralized authority. When you understand that, your strategy will be different. I don't think we have figured this out for the past 9 to 10 years. And I'm bringing clarity to that. You see how we study? You see the kind of depth? We are going somewhere. I said we are building the first world country in Africa. This is no joke. So, Americans did the same. They distinguish between loyalists and patriots. Loyalists and patriots. It saved time. And their independence came fast. If you want your independence to take forever, or you want your freedom to take forever, debate with everyone from Southern Cameroons on this subject and not make this distinction. Anytime anyone speaks, categorize them and save time and leave that conversation. Exit that WhatsApp group. Tell them, I love you, brother, but goodbye. Do you understand? Yeah. That distinction was not hatred. Don't hate you. I'll never hate you. I never hate anyone. That is just a choice you've made. That is clarity. And clarity always precedes progress. Let me repeat that slowly. Clarity precedes progress. Let's keep listening.
After 7 years of unexplained inaction, the state suddenly brings the case forward, only for it to collapse at a threshold due to a conflict that was known or should have been known from the outset.
Let me explain one thing on this subject. Our people will be free. Don't worry, they'll be free. With time, they'll be free. You trying to discuss with another Southern Cameroonian that is a Cameroonian by learned acceptance, or trying to discuss with a citizen of La République du Cameroun on this, it's like having a surgical operation at the hospital. You know the physicist. He is competent to do that job. You show up there and then you meet a gate man because he has been around that environment for a very long time. So he has been listening to the doctor speak. So he can explain to you how the process looks like. But don't take anything he says as fact and don't even try to allow that gate man operate you. So discussing with a Cameroonian by learned acceptance or someone from La République du Cameroun is like trying to get that gate man to operate you, to do a surgical operation on you. Doesn't make sense. That's a waste of time. They have been around there. Some of them have worked with that system. So they know what is coming. So they will give them some documents to run around and pitch us so that we can fall into that trap. We just ignore that. Tell them save time. Don't talk about La République du Cameroun anymore. Let them be. This system enjoys attention. A centralized system enjoys attention, whether positive or negative. Deprive them of that. Starve them. If there's anything, educate them. That's what I do here. I educate them of what they don't know. I'm saying this, my people, because if we in America and in Britain or Canada, we can't come together. We live in the best country on earth, the United States of America. If we cannot solve this problem in a third world country, we have failed to represent this nation. I say that all the time for a purpose. Because what I've seen here, it is crazy to think of what our people are going through back home. Truth be told. Let's keep listening.
This invites a deeper, more unsettling question. What is the regime really up to? What is La République really up to? For 7 years, the Supreme Court found no urgency in hearing this appeal. For 7 years, appellants, the plaintiff, the Nera 10, remain in detention. Why procedural silence reign? Why now? Why after all this time does a case surface only to be adjourned over a conflict so basic?
You see, they are listening to me. And the choice of words I use are intentional because they speak to institutions. La République du Cameroon understands this kind of language. But when you are talking about bad roads, people dying, all of that, that is something normal in a third world country. When you talk about people dying, oh, they have killed this, but they burned this village, that is something that happens in a chaotic state like the one we find ourselves in. Speak a language that institutions understand. And that is what I'm doing here. Clarity. Some people were talking about how if students in developed war come to the third war, they will not be able to pass the exams that they write over there. You know, one thing that is so beautiful about the education system here, what I've discovered, because I've lived in both wars, they make everything simple. And you understand exactly what you need to do after you're done with school. As they just shove knowledge down your throat with no direction on what to do with that after you're done with school. Not that the education all by itself is bad, but there is no direction on what to do after you leave school. That is the difference. But one thing I want you to understand, my people, we imagine chaos as opportunity. Be careful of what you ask for. History shows chaos punishes minorities first. So if there's a war in Cameroon right now, Anglophones will suffer. So-called Anglophones. Be careful of what you ask for. In centralized systems, citizens are trained to obey authority, not self-regulate when authority disappears. So they are trained to obey authority, not to self-regulate, that is control themselves, when authority disappears. If you add fear to that, you add the language barrier, French and English, you add misinformation because propaganda runs our lives, runs our community. Silence in such conditions looks like guilt. You can't even speak and you say, let me stay quiet. Somebody attacks you because they don't know, they don't understand your intentions. It is dangerous to have chaos in Cameroon with this language barrier for most of our people. Strategy will save our people's lives, will have our freedom, will build a society for our people. And I want to tell those from La République du Cameroon, this doesn't have to end in enmity. I'm the one who wrote the book, The Cameroon Dream. If this is not about Southern Cameroons, it's about the truth. And I come from that place. If Southern Cameroonians were wrong and their case has no legal base, I'll tell our people, go and join La République du Cameroon and you guys sort things out. But studying the literature and understanding what I understand about this problem This issue will never go away if it's not sorted out right now. This is the honest truth. I know you have no input because unless Paul Biya or the next leader gives a go-ahead, you have no power. I know that, but this is for information purpose only. If Southern Cameroonians were wrong, I will not support my people. That is not just blind obedience or blindly following your people because they are crying. No, say even though you're crying, do the right thing. There is no union treaty between La République du Cameroon and Southern Cameroon. And something, the 102 of the United Nations Charter has to be between sovereign states. I don't know where you get that from. And that we were not sovereign enough to sign a union treaty. Really? Or some comparing us with Northern Cameroons. The Northern Cameroons leave Nigeria like we did. We left Nigeria in 1954, came and established a government. Did Northern Cameroons do that? Our path were different. Not only sovereign nations sign treaties, my brother. But in our case, because Britain was the administering authority, Britain, La République du Cameroon, and Southern Cameroon's Foncha, who was representing us at the time, ought to sign, ratify a union treaty and register it under Article 102 of the United Nations Charter. Know that and know peace. It's for information. It's not debate. This is not something that I'm debating with you. So, if you look at the resolution 1608, is there any section there which says go and sign a union treaty? Do you understand how resolutions are structured? Why they are written the way it is being written? This is the problem in our community as well. People might go to school, study, become a medical doctor. They are professionals. Some go study and become a lawyer. Some go study and become a carpenter. Now, we think in politics, you can leave any field of study and have the same mental reasoning in any other sector just because you're educated. No matter what I say here, I will look really dumb if I step in the medical space where doctors are having a conversation. Medical doctors. And that is how some people look when they step into politics, when they haven't studied. And I really look at you that way. I'm like, you don't understand. We just think everybody should speak on politics. And this is something very important that controls our lives, but we take it lightly. People lose their lives over things like this, and we take it lightly. You think you can speak on this subject just because you went to school and become maybe an IT expert. What kind of a society are we building with that kind of mindset? So, misunderstanding will become violence instantly if Cameroon goes south. A new leader that you're craving will come in. The first thing is to demonstrate authority. And so they will not smile with the armed groups you see on the ground. Be careful of what you ask for.
It borders on farce. To many observers, the answer lies in a familiar pattern: delay as strategy. In politically sensitive cases, justice in Cameroon is often not denied outright. It is suffocated by postponement. Adjournments become tools. Technicalities become shields. Time itself is weaponized, wearing down defendants, their families, and public attention. Seen through this lens, the events of yesterday do not look accidental. They look like part of a choreography whose objective is not resolution, but exhaustion.
I think, Mr. Chris, you've tried your best, but let's change strategies. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Let's change strategies. So, if instability increases in La République du Cameroon, there are lines we must not cross. That is wisdom. Again, just ignore these people. Ignore them as though they don't exist. Do not celebrate regime collapse. Because if their regime collapses, do not frame ourselves as beneficiaries of chaos. Again, do not frame our people as beneficiaries of chaos. Do not enter the internal La République political battles. Stay away from their politics. We should frame any subject about La République in alignment with where we are going, not just to criticize their government. Everything you see I do here, I teach. Even when I bring up their subject, it is strategy. Do not assume our history will be understood in moments of fear. People will misunderstand us the more when there is chaos in La République du Cameroon because of what they have in their heads. And you can't take that out. Imagine the trauma our people have gone through when they see a police officer or see a gendarme or see an army from La République du Cameroon, and then imagine that there is chaos. Let's be smart. Let's learn from history. Do not confuse noise with protection. Distance is safety. Structure is protection. Distance is safety. Structure is protection. That is why you see I'm coming up with frameworks. This will save us. So, those who are communicating out there on behalf of Southern Cameroons, not Ambazonia, not on behalf of Cameroonians by learned acceptance, Southern Cameroonians who have become Cameroonians by learned acceptance, as we move into 2026, our language must change. We have 5 years. We are gradually getting to the end of the year. If we want this matter resolved within the next 5 years, communication cannot sound like protest politics. Words, life and death is in the power of the tongue. Words matter. By your words, you are blessed, and by your words, you are condemned. What you open your mouth and say either blesses your life or strings it. We must move from slogans to process. So every outing has to be intentional. And I can give you a playbook on that. And you will enjoy your job better. Accusations to jurisdiction. Change of words. From just accusing to jurisdiction. Facts about this case. We have to move from emotions to documentations. Where is the paper? The institution in Yaoundé understands that. The UN understands that. France understands that. Britain understands that. And France has nothing to do with this case. Let me be clear with that. These people never left their colonial master so that they can have a foreign nation to lean on. We left ours. And I want to let you know we have to start presenting documents before them. They understand that. Communication must reflect where we are going, not where we came from. everything is going backwards. Let's start going forward, even in our thinking. That's why we don't think about the next generation. Everybody is young, the old know better. We are not looking at the future. When we start looking at the future, our language will change. You start having hope in children that you give birth to. We don't have this kind of culture in our society. The British that colonized us, they think looking into the future. Americans, they think looking into the future. We think backwards. And that is why age matters more than competence in our community. We are no longer trying to be heard moving forward. We are ensuring the record is correct. They have to understand why we have this British heritage, why our traditions and our society is structured the way it is. We have not represented our society well. We've done a poor job on that. Those handling communications must understand this shift, because institutions listen differently than crowds. Those on this platform, I know they are smart people and they grab what I'm saying. That is institutional thinking. The next phase requires discipline, not volume. It's not about popularity. It's about discipline. So I'll close with this. We are not fighting Cameroon. Remove that from your head. I don't even think that we should be fighting them or thinking of fighting them. No. We are bigger than that. We are completing a process that was never finished. That is our goal. That's our goal. I know this military of La République du Cameroun has conditioned us to feel so low about ourselves, feel like we are just like, we call it 2 cubes of sugar. Rise up. Our culture, our history, and our instinct points to the same path. Institutions over personalities. That is where we came from. Even our colonial masters, that is what we inherited. Law over persuasion, clarity over chaos. That path reflects our DNA. You see, I say these things because, like, some people give birth to their children and they say any child comes into the world with their own luck. No, there are some people who intentionally raise children. From the time my children are born, when they start crawling, I start looking at what they are touching around the house. I start identifying the gifts in them. Now I'm raising them based on what I saw. And if I realize some changes, I'll pivot so that my job as a guardian to help this child become all that God created them to be can come to pass. Some just say, oh no, you have to understand who you are. I'm saying that to say you have to understand yourself, understand La République and their citizens, and then you come up with a playbook that reflects your community. With this, we will have no fight over who is president. But we focus on strategies on how we can structure these institutions that function, because that is what we inherited. That is even what our traditions reflect. And this is the path that I chose. Strategy is not cowardice. Strategy is responsibility. What I'm doing here is technically more dangerous than picking up arms. But at the same time, this is what frees a people. And everyone who loves the progress of black people should have no problem with me. You shouldn't have any issue with me. You should be happy that someone like this emerges to bring about change. My people, Somaliland have gone the same direction. I'll wrap up with that. Western Sahara has gone the same direction like Amazonia. Biafra has gone the same direction. South Sudan versus Sudan, the same direction. Study all of these stories. Western Sahara, I think I've touched on that. The Casamans in Senegal, the same thing. We've studied all of that. Azawad, they've done the same thing in Mali. We have Tatanga, the same thing, and that is in the DRC. We have the Cabinda in Angola, the same thing. We have the Borosa land, that is in Zambia. So there are multiple stories, even in Africa, on this path that we have taken. And some picked up military, some declared independence, some were clamoring for change like we are doing, and nothing has changed. But you see with this strategy, this is first war. When we set up the record straight, now the world must respect us. This is global standard. No one in the world will fight this. And we will build a great nation that will solve global challenges, supply chain challenges. Do you understand? That is where we are going. Share this video with a friend, a relative, or a loved one. Take time and watch each and every one of my videos. This is a teaching. This is a classroom on nation building, on institutional thinking. This elevates you above the average African. That is what you're getting on this platform.